Hi everybody, Wabbity Wab Tano here, the internet's busiest music rabbit, and today we'll be discussing Atmos, or Nowhere the Millennium of Space, a 6.5-hour fan project made by over 20 people, including Jordan Keurig, Vab21, BitGhost, Bella Chow, Enigma, and many more. Now, this is the third inspired project. It released on January 21st, 2021. The entire project lasts 6 hours, 32 minutes, and 34 seconds, and is in the purest edition of a fan project. Stage 1 starts with its A1, I'll Keep Holding On, with Simply Red's Holding Back the Years. And I think this is a great choice. I feel like it very much fits the same style as It's Just a Burning Memory. And it goes on to have Whitney Houston, ABBA, Matchbox 20, and the most recognizable, in my personal opinion, Every Breath You Take by The Police. Overall, it's a great selection of sounds. However, I feel like some are a little short, such as A6 Counting the Hours of the Day and B4 Gazing Towards the Stars, which is my personal favorite track, Pre-Awareness. I really like it. However, I also feel like most of them are not flowing very well, and that will be a common theme throughout the entire project, is that things aren't flowing very well. Like the A7 to B1, from B4 to B5, is a very stark contrast. I also feel like A5 to A6 is also a very stark transition, and that's something that I hope is done in the Redux. The second stage is a more technical stage, where you have to have denial and sadness rather than daze and confusion. Sadness is mostly detailed in your final track, which I like to give an example. D6 from Everywhere in the Beginning of Nowhere made me cry the first time I heard it, because it was just so amazing, and it concluded the stage 2 very well. I feel like that was done for the most part here. I believe Natmos really did that with its D6, which is very alien and very different, and I love it. I loved the short track of it being very, I don't know what's going on. Boom, E1. All of it was solid. I would expect that from the dude that's been making projects since the beginning. However, I feel like a lot of it is very 50-50 when it comes to quality. It sounds like a cassette. Is what I try and say. The music's there, it's just kind of warped, and it feels bootleggy. C2, C4, C6, D2, and D5 are all really bad. I don't like them for various reasons. C4 is very stark and doesn't fit at all between C3 and C5. D2 feels very mushy. Just C6 sucks. I'm gonna point it out right there. And D5 is very boring. But I really do appreciate the fact that it all sounds solid, and especially the C5, because C5s are one of my favorite tracks. Surrendering to Despair is great. Most of the C5s in various other projects I really like, and I liked. And with C5, Just Me and the Empty Sky, it is greatly achieved, and I really appreciate that it's solid there. C3 is where you show off your skills and translate pain into plunderphonics, where you need to go through and get something out, and it sounds like the screaming and horror. This was not achieved in any way, shape, or form. It's all very boring, or it just sucks. Besides E7, E8, E9, F1, and F2, and F6, those 6 tracks are the only ones I would say I would come back. The rest of it can be labeled as not good. E2 should not have been a sax version. I'll keep holding on when everywhere else it is used in the original version. E5 is one that gives me a very angry reaction. It sounds like Flixtonic. And that's not a compliment. E6 is underwhelming ripoff of Sublime Beyond Loss. It sounds like you tried, however, I don't think you made the mark even close to it. The trope of F4, F5, and F8 does not work here at all. All of it sounds very muffled, And I know it's not the headphones. I know it's not the headphones that I've been using because my headphones are decent. It's hard to distinguish it from the C3 version that you already established beforehand. And we didn't need F9 at all. I feel like that was a very weird choice using Avril 14. I would say this is the lowest point of the album itself, because from here on out there are redeeming qualities. I did like E7 through E9 because it all felt like you're being victimized, you're being pain, you're being tortured. Also, F1, very excellent sample choice. I do love this. F2 was one of the most desolate things that I've heard. F6 was a better version of F4, and E3 had some nice things going for it. It just needs more Radiohead, if I'm honest, Jordan. We've made it to the post-awareness stages, and let me tell you this, it's not good. G1 is kind of a transition into post-awareness, but I feel like it still doesn't work. If you're going to have that, you might as well have been the one that pioneered it with a 7-stage project where there's a transition in between over here, in between the F9 and the I or J1. A stage 4 is the most important stage of the entire thing. You have to be able to create confusion, denial, anger. You have to incorporate absolutely everything that you have done, that you do or have done into this stage, because this is basically the overture. You've established what it sounds like when you're fine, and you will have to establish what it sounds like when you die. And this is the most important right here, your stage 4s, the first stage of post-awareness. And I cannot express this enough that it does not work here at all. G1 was very buried, even after the first 8 minutes, which I've once criticized as being less active than stage 6. It finally let free and gave us a small piano sample in the middle, but it then returns to the drones, and we get those final few minutes of stage activity before we transition to H1, which is the best track of the entire thing. It follows not only the formula of an H1, which was very solid, it was very great. It decided to follow the format here until the final few minutes, to which they, instead of using that at the 60% mark, they used it at the 90% mark, which is very amazing. I loved the H1. However, I1, boring. It is 21 minutes of that special melody, and I have a problem with that in the temporary bliss state of the original Everywhere at the End of Time, in which I cannot sit through that. Unfortunately, I've sat through it a lot, but I haven't necessarily sat through it a whole bunch after other places. J1 is terribly offensive, uneventful, muffled. The only things happening around are the final 5 minutes, and a minute clip at the 12-minute mark. There are spooky sections where you can hear E1 in one ear or the other, and it just doesn't work at all. And I just can't deal with it, really. These spooky sections that have a piano section, or this it's garbage. It was garbage. It sounded industrial rather than melodic, like a J1 should, in this sort of purest edition of a fan project. But the final few minutes transition to stage 5. Stage 5. What the fuck? It not only takes a while just to get there, just to get to where you would say it's a K1 rather than anything else. And what I really, really hate about it is the only thing that's quality here are the clarity states. The first one, around the 5-6 minute mark, is very good. It's very spooky and it's very different, and I like that. I like that one. I like the difference in there because it sounds more like it's still fucked up, and we get that same with the second clarity state, which is more popular, I believe. There is a lot of drone in between a lot of them, and me, the king of drones, as according to Sebui, I feel like there's too much droning, in my opinion. There's not enough happening in the ears to qualify as a stage 5's beginning. And the final one was like the mandolin solo, and I really liked it. There was some good quality to there. M1, best M1 that I've heard. Even today, it is the best M1. I would like to talk about the transitions of the entire project itself. Is that transitions are so stark and choppy, and it just doesn't work at all. Like, it doesn't flow, and it just sounds like shit. And it makes the entire fan project go down a lot of notches. However, stage 6, I don't like stage 6. Stage 6s are fine. I can listen to them, and I can just listen to all of the stuff going on inside. But I can't with this because it is so loud. It is so loud, so active, that it makes G1 look like you just died. Talking with Jordan, saying that P1 makes me unreasonably angry, and it does, because in the first 4 minutes it is more active, more put together and recognizable than half of G1. And it's like, it's supposed to be a final collapse and everything's not recognizable. No, I can't recognize anything in G1, and it just makes me angry. It just makes me angry. Q1, unrecognizable. R1, fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's a decent one. O1 is so... It feels like there is something there. There is something there instead of it just being deadpan. Like most stage 6s. And I'm going to be honest. Terminal lucidity here, amazing rock solo, doesn't fit whatsoever. So, Nowhere at the Millennium of Space was the first full clone of Everywhere at the End of Time. However, there's no sugarcoating it. It's rough, it's garbage, various people collaborating at the exact same time. There is bound to have some shit within the gold. And by stage 3, there was more shit than even a dust particle of glitter. However, this is the first one to pioneer what we know today, and I am grateful for that. If this wasn't there, I probably would not have even thought of doing anything like this. And also, fun fact, this is the first fan project I have ever listened to. Most of it serviceable. It's better than the people that churn out fan projects like their YouTube Kids channels. And I feel like if you went back in time and looked at this from nothing to compare to besides the original one, I would say that it's a diet version of Everywhere at the End of Time. And so for that reason, I will give it a 54 out of 100, which would put it in the C tier if we're going by engineering standards. And so this is what the numbers will mean from now on, because I will make an official tier list sometime once I'm done making these. And so for that reason, we will end it there. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a good day.